All right, we are now at the MKM spoilers for the rares. These are the cards I think will be the top 10 rares to collect from this set. This was a very difficult list to make for me because there are an insane amount of actually really good rares in this set. At least I think they are. Time will tell. But yeah, I'm just really excited to go through them and tell you why I think they are that. So let's start with number 10. We got Steam Core Scholar, 12 mana. It's got flying, vigilance. It's only a 2/2, but I think I want to call this guy Ace Ventura because he's a weird detective. When this creature enters the battlefield, discard 2 cards and draw 2 cards. When you draw a card during your turn, increase its level by 1. At the end of your turn, you gain X mana and X loyalty. X is this card's level. So you obviously want to pair this card with a lot of card draw, right? The only thing about it is you probably want to have a way to pump him up a bit because otherwise he's just kind of taking up a creature slot and not being all that strong. But his effect is pretty powerful. So right away you are drawing 2 cards, so you're increasing this card's level by up to 3 right away just by casting him. So at the end of your turn, if you were to do nothing but cast this card or, summon it, however you're going to do it, you're going to get 3 mana and 3 loyalty at the end of your level. But you definitely don't want to just do that. You want to build around him a little bit because gaining basically an infinite amount of mana and loyalty at the end of your turn just for, drawing a bunch of cards, casting like a Day's Undoing or something right at the beginning of your, or somewhere in the middle of your turn, or, there's so many different ways to discard and draw cards. So you're going to basically be able to have so much mana and probably fill up your loyalty bar if you really want to do that with this card. So potentially very powerful as an enabler of your deck, but maybe not that powerful as a creature that you attack with. So very interesting card. I definitely want to play around with this one. Number 9, No Witnesses. 10 mana white spell card. The player with the most creatures on the battlefield investigate, probably needs to say investigates, then destroy all creatures and gain 10 loyalty. So this is a card that will definitely be paired with either creatureless builds or one of those builds that you are purposely trying to throw your own creatures into the graveyard for whatever effects you may want from there. So you're playing, Portal to Phyrexia or something like that, and you just find a reason to make all the creatures destroyed relevant. But the thing that is really interesting to me about this card is gaining 10 loyalty for casting it. So I am guessing that this card is going to auto cast, so I wish it wouldn't, but that's just my feeling about it. But gaining 10 loyalty is pretty interesting. I don't know if we've had a spell that will just give you loyalty like that. Golden Wish will convert the entire, half the board into loyalty gems, and that will probably be enough for you. But this just straight up gives you loyalty without gem conversion. So, pretty interesting card. I think that we'll probably see it played a decent amount, but I don't know. Not a lot of people like to play with a global creature or board wipe. I mean, I usually don't, but this loyalty gain is very intriguing to me. I'm just sweeping these together as the land cycle from this set. So this one is Meticulous Archive and it's for white and blue. But the reason I think these are interesting, I think they all, when they enter the board, they investigate. But converting 4 gems to white or blue, I don't know if we've had a land that does that for us before, where it converts that amount of gems. I think that crosses the threshold enough of being relevant for any dual color walker, and maybe even some tricolor walkers. Monocolor, I think you still maybe want to stick with the ones that convert 3 gems to one color rather than 4 gems to whatever possibility that you get from this. So these are really good lands, I think. They're 12 mana but they have 3 shields. So I think you want to have your lands have at least more than 2 shields. So that's how I feel about them. And yeah, we'll see how well they do for us. Judith, Carnage Connoisseur, 12 mana, 3/4, red and black, human shaman. When you cast a spell card, create 4 red devil tokens, then your creatures gain Death Touch and Lifelink until end of turn. I mean, what's not to like about this creature other than, just being a 3/4? But the 4 red devil tokens created just for casting a spell, that's really not that hard to do in most when you build for it. So this will be a really good one to put into, like Jaya, Raw, any of the spell slinging type of planeswalkers. 4 red devil tokens every time you cast a spell can get out of control really quickly. And those red devils, if you don't remember what they do, when they're destroyed, they deal damage equal to their power to the first opposing creature. So they're a pain in the neck to get rid of because they can end up hurting you just for having to get rid of them. But also, any of your other creatures that you have on the board, you're giving them Death Touch and Lifelink along with itself and those red devils. So giving lifelink to your creatures automatically just for casting a spell, that's really nice. I mean, yeah, this is going to be maybe one of my favorite rares from this set, and definitely one I want to play around with a lot. So, yeah, beware. Chalk Outline, 16 mana, 3 shields, green support card, enchantment. When this support enters the board, destroy an opposing card at random. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create X detective tokens. X is the number of cards in all graveyards. So, I believe the detective tokens are going to be probably like 1/1 creatures or whatever. But yeah, let's just go through here. When the support enters the board, destroying opposing card at random. Most of the time, that's going to be pretty relevant. The only problem is, if they're playing a lot of clue tokens, for example, they'll probably end up hitting one of those rather than what you want it to hit. So that's one thing that kind of sucks about this card. But other than that, this kind of ends up being like a green rabble rousing. And X is the number of cards in all graveyards. So in today's standards, that's really not difficult to fill up a lot of. There are so many different ways to do it in both green and black and blue now as well. So I think most colors, yeah, probably every color right now has a viable means of filling up graveyards. So I think this card can get out of control pretty quickly, like rabble rousing does. So definitely one that I'm going to want to play around with and see exactly how good it is. Case of the Locked Hothouse. 14 mana, 3 shields, green support enchantment case. At the beginning of your turn, convert 3 gems to green. To solve, if you match 4 or more green gems this turn, this card gains a solved emblem. Solved. At the beginning of the combat on your turn, if there are 5 or more green gems on the board, reinforce the first creature you control. So it's giving you utility no matter what, even if you never solve it. You're just going to be converting 3 gems to green, so that's about the level of a lot of the PMA lands. There are also some artifacts that convert 3 gems to green, or maybe they're artifacts. No, well, they're enchantments is what I mean. There are other enchantments that convert 3 gems to green. Solving this one is really not going to be that difficult. matching 4 or more green gems this turn. If you're converting 3 gems to green, it's most likely, if you don't make a match from those green gems converting, you're probably going to end up with a 4 swap somewhere on the board. And that's not going to be hard to do with most green gem, with all the green gem conversion that's in standard right now. So it should not be hard to solve. And once you solve it, at the beginning of the combat of your turn, you're most likely going to have 5 or more green gems still on the board, unless you just completely wiped out your green gems that you converted already. But let's just say that we're going to have those gems on the board a lot of the times. And you're just going to be reinforcing the first creature you control just because. So, yeah, this can be a really powerful card with a lot of different nice effects to it. So you're always going to be converting 3 gems to green, and then you might be reinforcing the first creature you control every turn. Pretty solid if you ask me. Anzrag's Rampage, 17 mana. Destroy. Oh, it's a red spell card. Destroy all artifact cards. Then exile the top X cards from your library. X is the number of artifact cards destroyed that way, or this way. You may pick one of the first 2 different creature cards from your exile, move that card into play under your control. So, there are a lot of reasons I like this card. Destroying all artifact cards. If you're playing with enchantments and lands, then you're going to be destroying the artifact cards you create probably through other means, which are going to be like gold tokens, food tokens, clues, etc. So that means that you might be getting a lot of mana or life back just by casting this card. And then what you can do with this card is, if you exile one of your creatures before casting it from your hand, you'll just be able to pick it out of your exile and put it into play for free. All you gotta do is just cast this spell. So, with the ways to make your spells free that are going to be in this set, this is going to be a really useful card, I think. So, yeah, I can't wait to play with this one. I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. Assemble the players. 18 mana, 3 shields, white support card enchantment. At the beginning of your turn, fetch the first creature from your library. If that creature has power 6 or less, move it to the board under your control. So, I have a feeling that this is a misprint. I think this might end up actually being a mana cost of 6 or less. So, let's assume, though, that this is not a misprint, and this is just how this card works. Most of the creatures that I play have a power of 6 or less. So, being able just to fetch them out of my library every turn, I'm going to fetch a Faithbound Judge, I'm going to fetch a Vindicator, I'm going to fetch, if I put this in a non-mono white deck, then there's plenty of other 6 power creature cards that I can pull out of the library every turn. So, really stupid powerful card, I think, if you build for it. It is 18 mana, but to get creatures into the battlefield under your control every turn for free, we're talking like Prismatic Bridge levels of power. So, very, very good. Cryptex. 10 mana, 3 shields, support card, artifact, and is colorless. When you collect evidence, investigate. I believe this means if you collect evidence for other cards, then this will investigate. So it's a little way to create clue tokens. It's kind of like a little bit of an engine for it. But thing about this card that's really good is this part. At the beginning of your turn, convert 5 gems to one of the colors of your greatest mana bonuses. When the support is destroyed or loses a reinforcement, draw a card. But yeah, so this is giving you a reason to not only pump up your mana bonuses, but you get a lot out of it. So this is actually really good for colorless planeswalkers as well, because it's going to convert 5 gems to one color. And so that is good for pretty much any planeswalker if you really think about it. But especially in those ones where you're somebody like Karn, Sign of Urza, you get to choose which card you're going to be pumping your mana bonuses for. Other cards like Virtue of Strength are going to be pumping up your mana bonuses, Sunken Citadel, etc. So any of those is going to be converting to that highest mana bonus of your planeswalker. So being able to get 5 gems out of that is going to be super powerful. I really like this card. I really, it's probably just going to be ending up in most of my decks, I would think. Unless, I'm playing Mana Crypt or something like that. Because that card is stupid good. And this one is, I think, also very, very good. Okay, we are at my number one chase rare for the set. Connecting the Dots. 12 mana, 4 shields, red support card. When a creature you control attacks, exile the first card from your library. At the beginning of your turn, return the first creature card from your exile into play under your control. If you can't, return the first support card from your exile into play under your control. I mean, all you need to do is really just get this card into play and exile the rest of everything else you want to keep playing into your exile. So for 12 mana, every turn you're just getting something free, and you didn't even have to do anything special to your card you're getting for free except putting it into your exile, tossing it from your hand, basically. That is great. Especially also if you're using Quintorius Canned, you're going to be putting things into your exile just from using its first ability. So you're always going to have some way to get things into your exile. So this is just, especially also for being a red card, this is exactly the type of card I wish red had. And yeah, this card is just insanely powerful to me. You just get free things every turn, basically. And as long as you exiled it last turn, you just get it right back. So only thing doesn't work for is spells, but you can't really complain. All right, so those are the rares that I think are going to be the most useful. Really good ones, right? This one, like I said, was a very difficult list to make. So there are plenty that I really like that didn't quite make the cut. So let me know in the comments which ones you think I should have put into the top 10 here. But it's tough to argue with this list I put together here. I really gotta say, but I know there are ones that I just didn't have room in a top 10 for. So okay, let's go on to the mythics next.